It's Minecraft, but using only your voice. Have you ever tried playing Minecraft, but those pesky intuitive controls just keep getting in the way? Well, do we have the solution for you? With the help of a voice recognition software, we can set up various macros and keyboard inputs so that we can play Minecraft without ever touching the keyboard or the mouse. And while this might seem like a dream for multitasking, going this way isn't the most ideal way to play. But that's not a challenge I'm willing to back away from. So let's start up the vocal warm-ups and boot up a new world.
I'll see you later.
Hey there folks, I'm Skip the Tutorial, and here we like to play games the wrong way. And hey, if this is your first time here, then make sure to punch that subscribe for more deep dives into your biggest questions. Now, to go about this, we'll need to set some ground rules for the challenge. Starting off, I only set up some fairly basic commands to mess around with, like mining, walking, and jumping. But past that, we can add in many more as we run along the world, since it's pretty tough to gauge these things right at the gate. Although one thing that we can tell is just how tough this is going to make the game to play. In fact, I'd even go so far to say that some of the simplest tasks in Minecraft can become a full-out ordeal when we've got voice commands. So, to prove that point, I set to do some fairly simple achievements that a normal player would do on a first day. And while they range a bit in complexity, I really doubt that any average player would label any of these as tough in the regular game. But here, these get blown up to crazy heights, and they become some of the most time-consuming obstacles that I've ever dealt with in Minecraft. So for that matter, here are the 5 tasks that really ramp up when playing with voice commands, ranked from soothing bass to high-pitched treble. Number 5, getting wood. Alright, so this is a simple one, yeah? Getting some logs in Minecraft is so easy that, hell, you could just get a couple by punching a tree with your fist. But this go around, it's just not that simple. And no, it's got nothing to do with the mining part, since we can actually set up the program to just hold the left click for good. Really, the struggle here is just positioning ourselves to try and knock down the tree. Now, with the way I initially set up the controls, I didn't have that way to turn around. This meant all I was good for was just to run in a straight line, swinging my fists like a madman. And that even led me to my first death, as I drowned at the bottom of a nearby lake. So the simple solution should just be to have the program move our mouse, yeah? Well, again, it's not that easy. You see, the way that VoiceBot works is that it can only move the cursor to relative or absolute pixel locations. This means is that we can't just have a straightforward command like turn Steve 180 degrees, because the locations are just too tough to understand, and they constantly move. All that gives us is a turn command that works some of the time, and a shame command that'll hang our head down low. And after trying my fair share of trees and rotations, I finally found my way with this little one that was tucked away. From there, we can grab the block, and congratulations! It only took us 7 minutes to do the easiest challenge in the game. And it's downhill from there. With number 4, acquire hardware. As far as challenge goes, this one gets a lot more tedious. First off, we'll need to find iron, which can be tough enough in itself. Since our movement options don't exactly make us the best for caving, a better bet here is to line up our pickaxe and then get ready to dig straight down. Which, I know, first rule of Minecraft, or whatever. But according to Mumbo, it's just fine. Look, take it up with him. These are my sources, MLA formatted, get off my case. This method actually seemed to work out alright for me. Granted, I did wear down my pickaxe just trying to find them, but in the end, a couple of ores came across the beaten path. And while I'd love to grab them as much as the next guy, we've actually got a specific problem here. Yeah, thank goodness the pick gave out just then, or otherwise I'd have been stuck at the bottom of a ravine with a broken leg and a failed run. So, what followed after this was one of the most complex iron rescue missions that I've ever pulled off. And while it took some time, there were no casualties and our boys were saved, and we brought them back to the furnace. Which introduces us to a different problem that comes with voice commands, and that has to be menu navigation. Just like turning around the mouse, moving it across the inventory is an exact science that I have no idea how to do. So, I set up push and anti-push to nudge the cursor horizontally, and pull and anti-pull to deal with the vertical. And while I'll spare you the details, let's just say this is a reason to have a hopper for your furnace, because human interaction is just that stupid. Number 3, getting an upgrade / isn't it iron pick. if getting the iron's tough, then turning it into a pickaxe is a full-out nightmare. So here, I kinda combine the achievements for making a stone pick and making an iron pickaxe into one, because they both face the same problem. You see, if trying to smelt the iron was already tedious, then attempting to lay everything out precisely into the crafting bench ain't a cakewalk either. We already got into how we get the resources, so I won't harp on that again. But who would have thought that simply laying out a recipe would be this challenging? And really, I don't have a better plan to get through this than just to sit back, sink into my chair, and spout commands until it finally works on a whim. Plus, I didn't want to just bypass this by using the recipe book out of the gate, since I feel like part of the challenge is making at least one of these in the purest way. Frankly, I don't know if it would have been faster to stay with my old commands and keep trying till it worked, or fine-tune the distances with voice spot until it's perfect amounts. I'm just glad we can finally make the pickaxe and snag the advancement, because this was easily the toughest time that I've ever had making a tool. And Lord knows I'm not going through that again. Or we are. Damn it. Number 2, a seedy place. Next achievement takes us back to our farmer roots, as we've got to plant at least one crop to get this one done. Now, when you write that out on paper, the steps for this one don't seem too complex. We need to get some seeds, craft a hoe, till some dirt, and then, well, plant the crop. But as we've seen earlier, voice commands make it so that every little step that we take turns into its own gauntlet for us to face. First up is building the hoe. Well, nothing new here, just make a pickaxe that's missing a plank and use the same long drawn out tactics that we used earlier. But then we've got to find the seeds, and that's a bit more of a hassle. Already, it's tough to aim the cursor wherever we're trying to get it. But when we've got to hunt through small blades of grass on the ground until on a whim we finally find some, this part becomes a real pain point this go through. And as soon as we've got our hoe and our seed, it's time to create life. Not like that. But instead, we'll need to find ourselves a nice area to start the farm. For me, that ended up being a small 1x1 hole in the ground, because, I don't know, I guess I'm a sucker for claustrophobia. But after that setup, I took my sweet time to lay down the crops, for no reason, before we finally snagged the achievement. Which only means we've got to face number 1, Monster Hunter. If that last one was about creating life, then this one takes us right to the opposite end of the spectrum. Since now, we've got to kill ourselves a monster, and that's gonna be quite the issue. You see, if you look across any voice commands challenge, you'll notice that most of the time, they're not too good for real-time gameplay. And while I won't say the AI in Minecraft is top tier, the monsters don't exactly wait for us to react. So, to knock this task off the list, we'll need to run through the potential candidates for us to kill. Starting off, we've got the skeleton. And this one is a particular pain to deal with, simply because it's a ranged attacker, and we can't quite close the distance before the time runs out. So another choice would be the spider, which even though it's strictly melee, it moves way too fast for us to keep it at bay, and that's a flop for us as well. Additionally, rare mobs like the witches or endermen are out of the equation as well because they can deal way too much damage. And they've got pretty strong defense tactics to boot. Oh, and creepers are out of the running for obvious reasons. So that just about leaves us with the zombie family of baddies. And here's where I started to make some headway. After failing my share at taking them down on land,
180. I didn't even hit up.
I decided it was best to stay safe by chilling in the water. And that strategy actually works out. Better, it's still not perfect. Now, what's likely to happen here is that the zombie, or 2 or 3 that you're fighting, will end up sinking to the riverbed, and then they'll become a drowned. And while that doesn't make them that different to fight, it still gave me one of the most annoying moments of the challenge. I must have been fighting this one drowned for the better part of a daylight cycle, until it finally popped up on the land. And while I thought he was just trying to get the high ground, turns out the jerk just wanted to spite me, and he took his own life. No last hit, no achievement, and I was back to the drawing board. It wasn't until another good chunk of time passed that I finally found myself in the position to try again. With one zombie in my sights, I figured it was prime time to give it a go. But here's where the problem kicked in. Suddenly, it wasn't just one zombie, it was a whole gang of things, and I was pretty sure I was a goner. Hell, a skeleton even made sure that was the case. But since the horde was right next door to my spawn, I was able to lock into just one of them, and then single him out for the rematch. So we got to fighting, and I punched him over and over and over again. But as both our health bars sunk down, I landed one last hit, and boom! He's down. That nets me the achievement and rounds off our task list. And with that, folks, we can safely say that voice commands earns us the beginner status in Minecraft. But that's just about all it can do. And hey, no one said this would be easy. So with that, make sure to drown this one in the top right to see us take on Minecraft with maximum blindness. Or dig straight down to the bottom right for another video. If you'd like to support the channel and see more games played the way that they're not supposed to be, then mind that subscribe or down below. But until then, take care, and you have a good one, alright?